This is Kasukabe Station, located in Saitama, next to Tokyo. It serves the Tobu Skytree line and Urban Park line. This is the east exit. Here's an overview of the elevated track construction. The elevated section will extend for a total of 2.9 kilometers. The projected sections are longer for a total of 3.5 kilometers. This will eliminate a total of 10 level crossings. We will introduce the situation of the level crossings around the station in future visits. The crossings to be abolished are concentrated on the west side of Kasukabe Station. The east side is below ground level at an overpass, and the surrounding crossings are not subject to abolition. Elevating this area would require lowering the overpass to ground level, which would be costly and time-consuming. Other companies have performed acrobatic work, reversing the track and road position overnight, but this does not appear to be the case. To the east of the overpass are the Urban Parklands storage tracks, which would also need to be elevated if the line were to be elevated. The proposed plan was shelved because the level crossings to be abolished are not particularly large, considering the construction costs. Here's the construction process. To build the elevated tracks in the same location as the original facility, the current facility will first be moved north. While not shown in this diagram, the old east exit station building, located north of the tracks, will first be replaced with a temporary station building. The vacant land will be used to move the Skytree line's inbound tracks to the north. This process was completed in May of last year, and the new inbound platform has begun operation. The original platform had tracks on only one side, but the new platform has tracks on both sides. Next, the Skytree line's outbound tracks will be moved to the north side. By relocating the new platform to roughly the same location as the previous platform for inbound trains, some facilities have been reused. This process was completed in October of this year, and the new platform for outbound trains has begun operation. Construction work is currently underway to relocate the Urban Park line to the north. As mentioned earlier, this platform is expected to be located roughly in the same location as the Skytree line's outbound platform before it was relocated. After that, the Urban Park line will be moved to an elevated track. The current facility of one platform and two tracks will be expanded to two platforms and four tracks. The remaining work will be completed by moving the Skytree line's outbound and inbound tracks in order to the vacant land. The tracks between stations will also remain basically the same, but in order to build an elevated bridge in the same location, the tracks will be temporarily moved to a temporary track. While the Skytree line's inbound and outbound tracks will be moved separately, the Urban Park line's inbound and outbound tracks will be moved at the same time. Before construction began, the station had 3 platforms, 5 tracks, and 2 tracks that did not face the platforms. Once completed, the station will be much larger, with 4 platforms and 8 tracks. However, the actual project will be much larger. Here's an image of what it will. Have you noticed how incredibly long the Skytree line platform is? Skytree line trains are 20 meters long, with a maximum of 10 cars, making them 200 meters long. Meanwhile, the elevated platform will be approximately 340 meters long, with space for 17 cars. This is likely to allow for separate stops for regular trains with a maximum of 10 cars and limited express trains with a maximum of 6 cars. This approach is already in place at Kita Senju Station, where the platform is partitioned and equipped with ticket gates for checking limited express tickets. Separating the platforms prevents congestion, and intermediate ticket gates prevent passengers from boarding the wrong train. Here's the wiring diagram. There's some tracks connecting the Skytree line and Urban Park line. This is essential, as major maintenance of urban Park Line vehicles is carried out at the Skytree Line's depot. Given this layout, it seems like through trains could run quite frequently. There used to be a through train called the Urban Parkliner between the two lines. Due to progress in elevated track construction, the track connecting the two lines was temporarily removed, and this service ceased operation. The track connecting the two lines was recently restored, but there's still no news of the Urban Parkliner's revival. Here's a map of the station's layout. From here, we'll take a look around the station and its surroundings. From the east exit station building, we'll visit the Skytree Line inbound and outbound platforms, then the Urban Park Line platform, and finally head to the west exit, then circle the entire station. After entering the ticket gate, there are stairs to the right at the front and an escalator and elevator at the back. We'll take the stairs up here. This is the entire route from the east exit, so the stairs are quite wide. As it's a temporary station building, the ceiling is high. At the top, there's the exit for the escalator we came up to. The passage is cranked around here, making it a bit complicated. The stairs and escalator come out in the same place, but the elevator comes out in a separate location, separated by a wall. There's a suspicious-looking shutter. Turning to the right, I find a miniature shutter. On the other side is the station building's exterior wall, the shutter located above the first cut. It's likely a shutter for transporting construction materials. The connecting passage splits into two here. This passage runs along the tracks. First, I head to the new inbound platform. This platform, due to its relative position to the connecting passage, has a slightly different flow path. A staircase juts out from the connecting passage, stretching back and forth. Given the lighting conditions, it seems best to look toward the upbound direction, so I move to the end closest to the downbound direction first. Though it's a temporary staircase, it's well constructed. This platform was relocated first, followed by the other platforms, and this platform will be the last to be elevated after the others are. This may be why it's used the longest. There are no escalators or elevators here. The elevators are on the downbound side, and the escalators are on the upbound side. We've arrived at the end of the outbound train line. The Skytree Line's inbound and outbound trains at Kasukabe Station have also been moved to temporary tracks. The inbound train line at the station is not currently on temporary tracks, so an S-shaped curve is installed within the station to adjust its position. This is due to the fact that boarding positions vary depending on the train to avoid long lines, and the door locations of express trains vary depending on the car. While there are tracks 1 and 2 for the inbound trains, there are rarely any meetings at Kasukabe Station during the day. I pass by the stairs I used to descend and head toward the uphill side of the platform. The steel plates installed to prevent the ground from collapsing when temporary tracks were set up are eye-catching. It's easy to forget, given the clean platform, that this is only a temporary platform. The express ticket machine is located behind these stairs. A limited express train has arrived. This is the 6-car train. While passengers can move between the two trains, access is limited to certain doors, so announcements are made to guide passengers to board the train from their designated location. Station staff are present at the entrance to check express tickets. Once the elevated tracks are completed and the platforms for express and regular trains are separated, this practice can be easily implemented by simply placing a ticket gate in front of the express platform, reducing both the effort and the number of staff. There's another staircase near the front of the platform. This one has an escalator leading up. Express trains stop further back, so there's plenty of signage there. Turning left after getting off the escalator will take you to other platforms, but turn right and follow the corridor, passing the stairs you just took down and heading down the stairs. It joins the same route to the stairs you just took down and heads back. This is a place we didn't pass through early on. At the far right is the elevator leading from the ticket gate. The stairs and escalator exit on the right, separated by a wall, so your destination will vary depending on what you're taking. The elevator to tracks 1 and 2 is on the right. We cross over tracks 1 and 2. Opposite the stairs to the new outbound platform is a sign announcing the platform's relocation. The platform change took place on October 5th, about 2 months ago. We can see that the platforms have been moved northward in order to make space for the viaduct. We descend to the new outbound platform for the Skytree line. These stairs are a reuse of those from the inbound platform. The basic structure, including wooden pillars, walls, and diagonally assembled timbers, remains. This is quite rare, as the platform's locations are not that different between the old inbound and new outbound platforms. The reuse of the old stairs is visible even from the adjacent platform. Because the old platform's foundation was weak, only the area around the stairs was reinforced with steel plates. Stairs remain in other locations, and the pillars supporting the rails are still in good condition. They appear to have been recently repainted and are a beautiful white color. On the outbound side, trains can enter track 4 on the left side from the inbound track on the right. There's a train depot at neighboring Kasukabe Station, allowing trains to enter track 4 from there and use it as the first train departing from Kasukabe. This also serves another purpose. Let's go to the inbound side. Perhaps because it's not as crowded as the inbound platform, this platform lacks the white line extending from the boarding area, giving it a cleaner appearance. This platform also primarily uses one of the 2 tracks, with most trains departing and arriving from track 3. There are also stairs on the inbound side. These are also reused from the old inbound platform. They appear to be newer than the ones on the outbound side, as the pillars and other structures are made of steel and panels rather than wood. The old outbound platform is currently undergoing renovations. The overhead wires on tracks 3 and 4 have been removed, creating a vacant, empty atmosphere. Even the signs next to the express ticket machines remain, creating a sense of time standing still. A temporary platform for the urban park line is planned to be built there in the future. While the platform will likely be reused, it's too narrow to accommodate passengers on both sides, so the platform will likely be widened using land on both sides. At the very edge of the inbound platform, there's a track extending from platform 4 to the urban park line at the far right. The connecting track between the 2 lines was temporarily interrupted during the elevated construction, but was reinstated after the outbound platform was relocated. The old outbound track was removed, and a new, winding S-curve track was laid in its place. Since the urban park line cannot carry out large-scale maintenance work within its boundaries, the restoration of the connecting line had to be rushed. Take the escalator next to this to go up. There are stairs on the other side, so unlike the up platform, there is only an escalator here. The route to the old down platform is separated by a fence and a curtain. The same applies to the overpass on the outbound side. Continue straight here to the outbound side of the urban park line platform. On this overpass, the stairs toward Funabashi are wider, but the stairs toward Omiya are also more crowded. This is because the ticket gates at Omiya Station, further ahead, are located at the very front of the platform, meaning the trains closer to the front are more crowded. The urban park line platforms are tracks 7 and 8. Tracks 5 and 6 were previously used as sidings. The width of the stairs remains the same, but they are now positioned to one side of the platform. Looking toward Funabashi, you can clearly see that the original wooden roof is positioned to the right, while a steel roof was later added to the left. Speaking of Kasukabo, we can't forget Tobu Ramen, a restaurant that has been operating for many years. Now that the outbound Skytree line has been moved to a temporary platform, the urban park line's transition is imminent. During elevated construction, shops tend to be kept to a minimum, so this restaurant may soon disappear. Let's go to the inbound side and exit the west exit. The narrow path leading to the west exit is where Platform 9 once stood. Since the construction of the new west exit, the negative effects of the tracks dividing the city have become more pronounced, and an elevated track is a long-cherished wish of the local residents. News about the elevated track has been posted within the station, attracting considerable attention. Photographs of the site are also posted, giving a clear indication of the progress of the construction. The west exit station building, unaffected by the temporary track, has not changed significantly, but this view is likely to change soon. From here, we walk outside the station. First, we look at the railroad crossing on the west side of the station, then head east. This is the Isasaki number 124 crossing on the west side of the station, a railroad crossing that never opens. Because it crosses both the Skytree line and the urban park line, the crossing tends to be closed for long periods of time. Construction work is in full swing, with several nighttime closures in November due to crossing construction. An urban park line train heading inbound passes. The arrows for both the up and down lines remain lit even after this train passes. Yes, an outbound Skytree line train are passing. The first train to pass is an urban park line outbound train. This is an 8000 series train bound for Omiya, still in service even after its successor is introduced. A downbound Skytree line train is also waiting, so the arrows for both the up and down lines remain lit. A Skytree line outbound train passes. Perhaps because it's an outbound train, or because the preceding train is jammed, it moves along slowly. Finally, the arrow for the up line disappears. A downbound train passes. Since there are no preceding trains jammed, it accelerates through the crossing at full speed. Just when you think the crossing will open, the arrow for the up line remains lit again. The arrow for the down line also remains lit. The urban park line outbound train bound for Omiya and the Skytree line inbound limited express Spacia bound for Asakusa pass almost simultaneously, and finally the crossing opens. Even after I arrived, the crossing was only about 4 minutes long, which is quite a long time. Because the tracks curve at this crossing, cars can be seen bouncing around. Yes, sometimes cars even go too fast and scrape the bottom of their vehicles. I arrived at the opposite side of the station, on the east side. There's an underpass here. It's for pedestrians and bicycles only. Cars are not allowed. There seems to be construction going on around here too. From late November, cars will be blocked off. The middle slope is for bicycles only. Wheelchairs are not allowed. Here's a view from the overpass on the east side of the station, toward Kasukabe Station. While there is space for a temporary track south of the tracks, the elevated bridges only run from this overpass toward Kasukabe Station, so the overpass itself will remain as is. Finally, I'll take a look at the temporary urban park line track. Materials have already been placed between the tracks and the Skytree line tracks. There are also blue tarps scattered around the railroad crossings, and it looks like a temporary track will be built there. There seems to be delays in vacating the detached houses to the right of the tracks, so the progress of the construction is worrying. From here on, temporary tracks for both the up and down lines are being laid. Unlike the Skytree line, the urban park line will be relocated to the temporary tracks at the same time, and once the viaduct is completed, both will be relocated to the elevated tracks at the same time. These tracks continue all the way to the next station, Yagisaki. The temporary fencing also extends right up to the platform at Yagisaki Station. The temporary track needs to be fairly long, as it needs to avoid the connection points to the future elevated track. The temporary track extends to the next station, and in rare cases, the shape of the platform changes. The full extent of the elevated construction is still unclear, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. Thank you for watching.